here yesterday? Put your hands up. All right. Who came to this AMA yesterday? Oh, great. Half my jokes are going to fail. Cool. No worries. Welcome, guys. I'm Goose, and today we are doing a quick Q&A, AMA, a Quama, whatever you want to abbreviate to, about Good Game, because it's been a pretty big year for us. What we might do, actually, though, is just quickly use you guys as, like, a poll, because we need to get some research. My boss, Janet, is here. Janet, big round of applause for Janet, the EP of everything to do with Good Game.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
So what we might do, there's a bit of market research we're going to do. Can I get a little bit of the house lights up, please? I love doing that, just a little bit of the house lights. He's not responding, thank you. Okay, quick show of hands. Who watches Good Game, the show on TV? Who watches it? Okay, now keep your hands up if you watch it on TV. Okay, right. Now, put your hands up if you watch Spawn Point. Okay, you're writing all this down? Good, okay. Now, a show of hands, who watches our online shows, either Pocket or Well Played? Put your hands up for that. Excellent. Okay, now who's never watched anything we've had anything to do with? Hello. Welcome. We hope this is informative in some way. Okay, and the last question, who just watches everything across the board? Yeah, some diehards. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Any other information we need to pull from that?
Fabulous. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Excellent. All right, we'll bring you out in just a moment officially. But thank you so much, guys. Good to know. Good to see some fans here. You all are enjoying PAX, I take it? Good stuff, good stuff. So yes, we'll bring out the panelists in just a moment, and then we're going to have a Q&A. So what we'll do is, if you come up and line up behind the two mics on either side, some lovely PAX volunteers will be able to allocate you guys, and we'll go through some questions and answers. But before that, it's been a pretty big year for Good Game. We're almost on our 10th year, actually, so we're feeling pretty old. But before, thank you, yes. Yeah, a bit of a round of, thank you. But just before we kick things off, guys, and I introduce the panelists, let's have a quick look at some of the highlights. Again, if you were here last year, apologies. Hopefully it's as humorous this time, but a quick look at what's happened behind the scenes at Good Game this year. Cheers.
Good Game, I'm Barjo.
Yeah. I had one thing to say.
Your name is Hex.
D-I-C?
Dis.
Yeah, that's it.
How long she's been in here for? Time to sit and talk about games for ages. One more place.
All around a decent game. You put that on the box. Decent. Barjo from Good Game. But nothing beats the perfectly smooth use of multiple hydraulics.
That wasn't sex face. I was like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I totally checked with David.
What's up, David from At The Movies? Are you game for us to use your stars?
I'm game for anything.
The old man stops you with an arcane shield. Please wait, I have many more stories to tell of a whole...
I cast Fireball.
Everybody's dead. All right, guys, best Batman impression, go.
I'm Batman? Yeah, I keep bats.
I'm Batman.
Yes.
I'd like to redo mine.
No.
Hold on!
And there you go. Thank you very much. As you can see, the show is an excuse for us to wear costumes, I think we can all agree. But yes, guys, so now let's keep the applause going as we bring out the panelists for today. First of all, he is the host of Good Game Pocket. He goes by many names, Damp Hands, Nick Boy. Yeah, Nick Boy. Let's bring him out. Nick Boy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Nick. Whoa. And now, the host of the only esports show on iView and ABC. Please welcome Hingers. And you met her just before, but she is the creator of Good Game, Spawn Point, Pocket, Well Played, everything to do with Good Game. Big round of applause, everyone, for Janet Carr, series creator. And of course, the two hosts of Good Game, the stars of today. Please make a big round of applause for Hex and Barjo, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
All right, we're going to try and get through as many questions as possible, so we might get the house lights up again just a bit. And if you do have a question, if you want to calmly make your way towards the microphones at the bottom of both sets of stairs, and hopefully some PAX volunteers will be there to put you in the right spot. Wow, rush the stage, everyone. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You're all regretting sitting up the front.
Mosh circle, go.
Exactly.
Do the kids still do that these days? I
Don't know, Hex. I don't know.
All right, well, let's kick it off with a question from over on the right here. This person, sorry, we can barely see you, just down the front there. Your first question.
Hello. Ooh, okay.
Hello.
I have a question, more of kind of question before my question. More of, what if I kind of missed a whole bunch of episodes, and I was wondering if there's a place I can actually go and watch all of these episodes.
What a great question.
Whoa, yeah.
The first one's a plant, isn't it? It's
How
always a
far
plant.
back? How far?
You still got the first episode up? Just putting it out there.
I don't think the first 2 or 3 series are up anywhere anymore.
They do still exist online.
Do they?
But it's not an advertised link anywhere.
Right, okay.
It's on the dark
but
web.
You can watch it through the website, can't you?
Not. I think series 1, 2, and 3 has maybe finally dropped off the website.
There's only so much space at the ABC servers.
Yeah, it's to do with server space. But I do think the link's gone, but they do still exist.
If you hunt
but
them down.
everything for the last, when did we start the YouTube channel?
I think the last 4 years has been uploaded to YouTube from memory for GG, Big Show. And I mean, it's weekly on iView, but you can't really catch up on that. But all the MP4s are still on the website as well, our ABC website. So you can go back at least 4 or 5 years, if you really want to.
They're pretty funny, those older ones. Especially Barjo was so suave back then. He was like, welcome to Good Game, I'm Barjo.
Look what's changed.
And look what happened.
And they're in stunning 360p, so enjoy.
All right, well, my actually game question is actually...
Sorry?
Actually game related is actually, I'm wondering your opinion on Terra, Fate of Uran, and League of Legends. I'm actually just on your opinion on both. So I know that there was an episode where you hate MMOs, like a video where you explain how much you didn't like MMOs.
Hate MMOs?
Who said that? I love MMOs. I mean, I hate that I love
Facebook,
them.
and someone was there just absolutely bagging MMOs. I'm like, okay, I guess Good Game doesn't like MMOs, but I was wondering your opinion on
I think
Terra.
it was one of them Dota, though, you said? Did you say?
No.
Oh, LOL,
MMOs.
League of Legends.
Oh, yeah, that one was League of Legends.
Yeah, I think we are actually we are doing a story in a couple of weeks about League of Legends. We did a review on Dota when it was released, which was kind of us teaching each other how to play.
We won because the other team left.
That's it. But we are doing
quit. We quit. We've won every match in that way.
We chatted to some guys from Riot, and we're doing a bit of a story, again, a refresher for anyone who doesn't know how to play a MOBA, and just a sort of a backstory on Riot and LoL, so look out for that one. There you go. Thanks for your question.
We'll give you an answer in 2 weeks, basically.
Over here on the left.
Okay, so, that's very loud. I was talking to one of my really smart political friends, and a Lollipop Chainsaw came up, and then we were talking about kind of women characters in gaming and how many of them are overly sexualized. And he was saying, but Andrew, my name's Andrew, he was saying, but Andrew, it's art and people should be allowed to make what they want. And for example, we talk about violence in video games, and we have, as a community, have sort of just accepted that games are mostly overly obscenely violent to not realistic extents. So I was just wondering, like, your thoughts on that.
What was your question?
Why?
Was it the games as art question? Because we are going to need another hour on that one.
No.
So the first part's why should people just be able to make what they want?
Yeah, why is it bad
Why
for
do
women
they
to
have to respond to equality? And look, I think games need to be reflective of a person's vision for that game, but also we live in a world that is diverse and ethnically diverse, sexually diverse, and many other sorts of diversities, and that should be reflected in our entertainment medium. And I think one of the main reasons it isn't is that we don't have that diversity behind the people making them. So yeah, people should make what they want, but we need more people of all sorts to be making games and being involved in the industry, so we can not just have 32 shooters a year that with people that look like Gus and Nick, you know, bearded white men, because that's what they all are.
That's beardist, man.
I mean, it's changing slowly.
I think as well with the question of you know, the representation of women in games. I mean, I always have to sort of backtrack and say, look, I have no issue with characters in games being portrayed as sexy. Like, I think we all like a bit of that sometimes, you know, and I think a character can be sexy in lots of different ways, and can, you know, they can wear clothes and be sexy and all that kind of stuff. It's more just about how women are usually portrayed as objects, really. So whether or not they're wearing scantily like clothes and stuff like that, you know, if it's impractical within the context of the game, or if that character is literally just there to be saved or what have you, you know, that sorry?
Metal Gear.
Yeah, right, Quiet. Not you, the character was called Quiet. Yeah, so I think, you know, it comes down to more than just what the character is wearing, but the way that character is represented throughout the game within the context of the game. You know, I think there's just a lot of work we need to do in terms of how women are represented in the narrative and on a whole, rather than just what they look like.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like the big problem there, and you referenced that like violence has become something that's sort of acceptable in video games. I think that's bullshit. It shouldn't be like that. But also, not that I don't think your opinion's bullshit. But I think one of the problems is that violence is a huge problem in society, but it's not every day that someone has a gun that also has a chainsaw on it that you shoot someone and then cut them in half. The problem with the portrayal of a lot of women in video games is that it's really it's far more subversive, because society does have a just inherent way of thinking about women. And I think that when video games portray women as sexual objects, it is a subconscious reinforcement that the way that you think about women, and not you, but like just in general, the way that the world thinks about women, it's reinforcing that message. And I think it's actually more dangerous than the violence in video games, because you can tell that the violence in video games is wrong. You can look at it and you go, I know I'm not supposed to kill people, but if that woman is a sexual object in the game and that is her only purpose, it's not as obvious unless you know to look for it that is wrong. And that's something that's been bred into us through generations and generations and generations. So that's why I think it's more of a problem than violence, because it can get by without you actually realizing it, and that's why it's dangerous.
That was very well put, I think.
Hey.
And now for my poop joke.
And yeah, I think discussion about it, constant discussion, is how we're going to make steps forward. So I think, thank you very much for your question. Just down here on the right now.
I was wondering if you could rate like your shows out of 10.
Pocket is the best one,
Yeah.
and then there's the rest of
Let
it.
her
Like,
finish.
you know how you rate, like with Good Game Spawn Point, you rate them with rubber chickens. I was wondering, what would you rate your own show, and would you need Darren's cupcake cannon?
What would we rate each show?
Janet, you always talk about the hierarchy of the shows and how they work together. Would you like to?
Yeah, I like to think of it, and I really don't like this word, but I like to think of it as like an ecosystem. And to me, the beating heart at the centre of the ecosystem is what we call the big show, Good Game, ABC2, you know, and because that is, you know, we have quite a large team of people that support us, and a lot of them spend their time crafting Good Game up into the highly kind of thought through and beautifully produced show that we try to make every week. I think for me personally, the one I sort of feel is the most important is Spawn Point, because I do feel that kids, you know, they're the future of gaming. They are, every single kid in Australia, or 96% of children in Australia classify themselves as gamers. So I'm really proud that we get to make a program for them that looks at games in such an enthusiastic way, but also we are trying to help those kids understand the techniques that games use to make them so compelling. What goes into making a game, what it is that we love about it, and the storytelling possibilities and the creativity that can come into them, and then what it's like to maybe go and work in there as an industry. So for me personally, I care very deeply about all of the shows, but I'm very, 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 very proud of Spawn Point. And then, of course, Pocket this year, well, less said about that, the better, really.
Yeah.
And well, sorry, Nick. Go.
We're both as shit as one another, I think is what Janet was saying.
No, Pocket
I'd like to file an HR complaint.
It's so brilliant to be able to make something every day. I mean, as much as, all of the lovely crafting that goes into the big show, it's also part
Sometimes you just got to speak shit off the top of your head and hope that someone's watching it.
Shit all the time. It takes time to make it, so we can feel a little bit out of date even though we make it every week and it goes to air once a week. Whereas with Pocket and Well Played, we can be to the minute. So
I think the valuable thing as well is that all the shows really serve a different audience. You can watch all of them and enjoy them all, but there's each show has sort of like a unique voice that exists for a different reason. It's not just like, oh, that's the online version of Good Game, or that, you know what I mean, or that's the Good Game segment where they talk about esports. It's like, no, that is a thing that is just devoted to esports. This is a first look thing, this is a review thing, and this one has a robot in it.
yeah.
I hope that answers your question. Thank you
5
very
rubber
much.
chickens
Sorry.
for all shows was the answer.
10 yeah.
There was an addition on that about the cupcake cannon. We made
yeah.
that up just so we could eat cupcakes on set.
Do you remember how it looked in the first time?
the first time the cupcake
came out?
cannon
There's
came up,
something
we're like-
wonderful that happens when you make children's television where everything becomes like awkwardly phallic, and you've just got to try and not make things, but you can't avoid it. So that cupcake cannon is amazing and hilarious on so many levels.
Because we don't know sometimes, not to spoil any illusions, but we have graphics people that help us on the show, and it wasn't a real cupcake cannon. And so he sends back this clip without just the audio, and so we're like, let's have a watch back on it. And it's like he's standing there and suddenly, like, it keeps going. No, they wouldn't. Yeah, and then they fired it in my face, so that's when it got weird.
That was a happy day in the office.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks very much for your question. Over here on the left now. Ash.
What is a good Nintendo game?
What is a good Nintendo game? Down the line, fire away, Nick.
There is one coming out, obviously I don't know if it's amazing, but Yokai Watch looks like an updated version of Pokemon that I'm really excited about for the DS that comes out in December.
Excellent.
Just play Smash Brothers.
Janet, your favourite Nintendo
I was
game?
a massive, massive fan of Lilac Wars. That was my go-to game. So I know, what do they call it here? Star Fox Adventures.
Yep.
I know everyone's thinking that the reboot is going to be shit. I really hope it isn't.
I had a really good go of, I think it's Triforce Heroes
Yep.
Yeah,
at
that's really fun.
E3, and that was super fun. It's great co-op and it's great shenanigans and lots of friendly fire stuff, which is very funny.
Badger, yourself?
Advance Wars forever. I love Advance Wars so much, and I just need a new one. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a bit like Fire Emblem. Also, Fire Emblem forever. They're my favorite Nintendo games.
And I'll say Splatoon. I've been playing a heap of Splatoon recently, and that game, they are supporting the crap out of that game at the moment. I thought it was going to fall to the wayside, but it's like maps, weapons, vote if you like cats or dogs. I'm like, that's really next cats.
And do you like and do you like Mii's? Because there's a mobile Mii game coming in March.
Didn't that just
Miitomo?
Their stocks have dropped the second that was
Yeah, by like
announced.
9%. Because
Good
it's
work.
a terrible idea.
Good stuff, Nintendo. A couple of suggestions there for you. Thank you for your question. Over here on the right.
How you going, guys? This is for the Good Game team. My question
That's
is...
us.
Hello.
Thank you for coming to this specific AMA.
Yeah, it's, the question is, have you guys got a beta key for Fable Legends? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? And if you don't, would you like one?
By the way, I made Fable Legends, was the end of that question.
Did you make Fable Legends?
No, but I'm just saying, if you don't have one, would you like one?
Fable Legends.
Yeah, Fable Legends is the we don't have the keys for it yet, or code for it yet. It's the multiplayer Fable thing, right? Where there's, yeah. It looks really interesting. I'm excited to see Fable be something different from the last game, because as much as I enjoyed it, I felt like it didn't really evolve much, and they do a really good job with, like, I don't know, I quite like the fantasy of the Fable games, and I quite like the silliness of it. So I'm keen to play it. So yes, please.
We had a lot of fun with I think it was the Horse Connect Fable game, which if anyone's seen that review, like, the game had its problems here and there, but it made for a very interesting review with the amount of, let's just say horse love was involved in that.
Creepy brushing. The thing I love about the Fable games too is that I think they're great accessible games as well. So anyone who comes to me and is like, oh, I love your show, but I can't play games, or it's not something that I want to do. I say, well, why don't you start with something that, like Fable or maybe Journey or something like that, that's really wonderful and really open and accessible. And I think that's great that there are games that are like that.
Plus, it's the only game that I know of where you can see how many of your friends have contracted STDs. You can see, Joe from the office has contracted 27 STDs in the Fable games.
I would also like to recommend the game of life for that.
I thought you were about to file another complaint, Hingers. But thank you. We'll see you after the show for some free stuff. Thanks for your question. Over here on the left now.
Well, someone took my questions, so I'll just ask.
Someone took your question?
Yeah.
Who was it?
It was a little kid.
Was it the kid?
Yes, it was the little kid. No.
God damn it, kid!
You kind of answered it. You kind of answered it anyway, so I'll just ask a stupid question. Who plays up the most in the office?
Who plays up in the office the most? I don't know.
Up the Pixar tie-in Xbox 360 game? That'd be, no, bad joke.
It's Barjo.
It's Barjo.
It's Barjo.
Barjo, there's evidence of Barjo everywhere in some small way. I don't know if you've received... I don't know if you've received, any of you received an official Barjo magnet today, but they just appear. He puts pictures of himself all over the office.
Yeah,
sometimes, he bought this massive, mass pack of Mentos, and then sometimes I just see, in the lift, squished into, a crevice of the corner, he's squished a Mentos, because he dropped it on the floor and didn't want to throw it away. And I know who has Mentos in the office, so I'll take a photo of it and I'll be like, was this you?
Can we zoom in?
And we do have to mention Barjo.
Sorry, Dan. Can we get a camera to zoom in on this? I don't know if this is possible. Hello, there's a camera over there. I don't know if you can...
Oh, official Barjo notepad.
We had a close-up last time.
Can I the whole set?
No?
I know you never, ever
There we go. This was just in his pocket.
You don't have your own stationery? Come on.
Barjo, I know that we never released it and there was only one copy and you promised, but could you tell them what you did for the goof reel?
Party last year? So I couldn't make the rap party last year. I can't even remember why. I couldn't be in the country or in the state, so I couldn't make the rap party. So what I did was I made a video for them all, for everyone, to be played at the rap party. And this video, I wanted to be really, really, really special. So what I did was I started singing a song to Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, which was very popular at the time. But I changed the lyrics to, I put my butt on your keyboard. And I had a movie video. What do they call it? A video clip.
A montage.
A montage of me wiping everyone's keyboard on my butt.
But I have to say,
and really
the best part of the whole video was you watch it and he's rubbing his butt on every single person's keyboard, and they're all sitting there watching this video, and he's rubbing it, and it's like, oh, that's so gross. I'm not going to touch that when I get back. I'm just going to replace the keyboard. And the last line of the song is, and the best part is, it was 2 weeks ago.
Everyone's just like,
go. Yeah.
So there you go. That's good question. Thank you very much.
I still have it. Shall we upload it?
You should upload that. Thanks very much.
Beautiful.
Back here over on the right now.
I was wearing pants for most of it.
Barjo and I...
That's his defense for so many things that happen in the office.
Barjo and I have a joint surprise for our Christmas party this year.
Oh, God.
I can block my ears and you can tell everyone.
2 butts.
Someone has written some really incredible slash fiction. It gets weird.
Yeah.
I submitted that privately to you, and I just wouldn't appreciate it if you read that in public. So
A full reenactment might be nice, like, Days of Our Lives, kind of like. Actually, I haven't read it either. Over here on the right, your question, please.
I actually have a question for Barjo, if that's all right. You still play World of Warcraft, right? Right?
Wait, yes. When
It's like your in-game wife.
Every expansion, I like jump in and let it take my soul until my eyes have bled, and then I jump out because I have to.
My question is, with the upcoming of Legion and unlocking of Demon Hunters as a class, and also with this expansion and the last expansion with Mugs, it kind of feels like rogues, because I'm a goblin rogue that I main, and I know you're a rogue as well, master class. Where do you feel that the class is going? Because it feels that it's becoming less and less important.
The rogue in general?
Yeah, basically.
DPS is always important.
I'm only in my guild because I
group.
unlock boxes for everyone, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it became, the rogue used to be, really hardcore. Like, you could sit in that battlefield and just sit there. Like, I played a lot of PvP. I played about 2,500 hours of WoW, and I'd say about 2,000 of that is PvP, at least. And I just loved being that rogue on the battlefield, just completely stealth, and then, like, I'd bust in, and I'd be able to take on, the classes that weren't my counter, and destroy them, and feel good about that. And then, over the last kind of couple of expansions, and especially with this new one, I think it looks like they just keep making it more, I want to say balanced. It feels more balanced rather than rock, paper, scissors to me. And I am talking a little bit outside my scope because I haven't played it for a little while now since the last expansion. I'm sorry, but yeah, it feels a bit like that. I don't know, the rogue doesn't feel as good. You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know what else I can say about that except sad news, sad day for rogues. Stealth in MMOs and games in general is really hard, and I think they always struggle with that because it's such an overpowered thing. A lot of newer MMOs give you, when they have the stealth option, it's like, yeah, you can go invisible for a little bit. It's pretty rare now that you get to like have a fully stealth character, which makes me sad because I like stabbing in the back.
Thank you.
There we go. She just walked away.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question. Over here on the left now.
Yeah, Ryan, how you doing? I just promised my friend for Janet, Ben Fitz, says hello, and he said that he couldn't come, just as a message for you.
Great. Hello.
Yeah.
He's just finished his HSC. I hope he did well.
I don't know, it's Ben Fitz. Anyway, just as a general question for everyone, I'm a competitive Smash Brothers player, and I'm sure a lot of people are hyped for Worlds tonight, for League. And I'm just thinking, where do you think esports will go, say, in the next 2 or 3 years? Do you think there will be more like televised events, bigger prize pools, more sponsorships, and will it become more mainstream?
Hingers, you've been furiously writing stuff down like yesterday as well. I'm hoping for a whole series of notes and interesting points to make. Go.
It depends on what you're talking about in terms of the international versus the, I think, local scene. So internationally, I think you're going to see a lot of people experimenting with a lot of different things and trying to push things onto mainstream television, trying to put things into wider audiences. But in Australia, I think we're a little bit more risk averse. So, for example, Well Played is the esports show that the ABC runs. But no other kind of commercial station, or no other commercial stations, or terrestrial stations in Australia are doing that. And you're not going to see, Channel 9 picking up the Crown Invitational. You're not going to see Channel 7 doing stuff for Couch Warriors, because Australians are very risk averse in terms of their media landscape. But overseas, you see, CNN and, ESPN sponsoring and partnering with ESL, partnering with, Blizzard to do Heroes of the Storm and stuff. So that's just going to explode. And then about 15 years after it gets commercially successful elsewhere, that's when Australia will probably take a chance on it.
Wow.
I think the BBC actually,
the BBC
broadcast.
they just
LOL,
broadcast
didn't they?
LOL from
LOL.
Wembley, right? But even that point is there. Like, you had to fill Wembley before the BBC would do it, right?
You did, but it's helped me a lot.
Yeah, sure.
With getting Well Played commissioned, because
And
it's
aren't
like,
we glad
the
of
BBC
that?
do
Yes.
it, great.
Which is fantastic. So again, I'm so grateful to the ABC, and again, that's where the ABC is really great, right? Because they are taking this point of leadership and giving me a job. Two really great things. So the big thing is it's going to be everywhere but Australia except for us.
Well, and I think that part of that has to do with the fact that the more people who play it, the bigger the prize pools are going to get. The bigger the prize pools get, the more money is invested in that, and so therefore networks will start picking up something that is worth a lot of money. As long as the money is there, then that's when esports will start picking up. It's never going to be a giant televised thing if people aren't taking it seriously enough to be competing for giant sums of money. That's why sport is popular, because it has a huge amount of money behind it. So it's getting more money there, it'll get more popular.
We need some winning teams. Like you look at, say, you know, take a real life sport like soccer, you know, or football, that really became popular on the television as far as Australian audiences were concerned when Australia qualified for the World Cup.
And unfortunately, it seems like to be a winning Australian esports
You have to go
competitor, you
overseas,
have to go to Korea. Like, you have to go overseas to do that because we don't have the internet, we don't really have the infrastructure, and we don't have the density of people. We don't have that many people in the country. Like, when you compare it to other countries that have hundreds of millions of people living in them, that's where you get the 0.5% of people who are good at esports.
Yeah, I mean, overarching that though, I think that it's not just about having a lot of people. Like, Australia's a very wealthy nation, and so the proportion of people who have the capability of just having the hardware to compete at a high level is it's in a much higher proportion. So it is like we don't have a lot of people, but you see, you know, there are people here today who are at PAX this weekend who are going to be at BlizzCon, for example, you know, commentating and competing. There are people here who are going to be at the, you know, the ESL Invitationals over at, playing CSGO and stuff. So, you know, I mean, I think it's really easy for us to kind of just say that Australians as competitors aren't going to do well, but you know, we have a CSGO team that's ranked sort of in the top 12 in the world, you know, and they are in LA training and stuff, but you know, they come back and they, you know, win competitions here because they're overseas training. You know,
it doesn't even have to be a whole team. I think, you know, one superstar player. It's just something that cuts through the kind of, you know, the people that already know about esport and pushes it into the mainstream. And you know, unfortunately, television is sort of led by personality and success. I mean,
and I know we've been going about this for a while, so I will make this a very, very quick point that when we're talking about sport, the other allegory is that traditional sports are easy to understand when you just look at them. I mean, maybe people in this room find them baffling, but you know, for example, when you watch a soccer or football match, you can go, oh, I know, right? So the rise of things like Rocket League, which have a very high skill barrier, but are really simple to understand, I think they will be a really big portion of esports.